All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry, there's been a few issues this morning. Boy, a lot of issues. All right, going on. That should have said JS, for example. That should have said 25 minutes, but whatever. Today is the second JavaScript hands-on test. All right, I went back and looked at it again yesterday and realized I wouldn't have given this test, but I'm supposed to. All right. When I say this, I'm not ripping the test. The test is actually well done. All right. So again, as we have people joining, um, today is the JavaScript hands-on test number 2 for chapters 4 and 5. All right. I've had all sorts of errors I made this morning. I don't know where my head is, but that should have said JS. That should have said 25 minutes, etc. But it's okay. All right. So in just a minute, we're going to take a look at the test. Before we do, what I have decided to do, since there is stuff on this test we haven't really gone over very much, I tried to give you some hints and some URLs, etc., that would help you. All right. Plus, I'm going to give you both today and tomorrow's class periods to work on this. It won't be due until Friday at midnight. On Friday, I'm going to lecture. I'm going to lecture on 6 and 7. So there'll be no other lecture today other than the lecture I'm giving right now. There'll be no lecture at all tomorrow. I will be online during both of those periods. All right. And be more than happy to answer questions that people have. All right. So again, as it says here, today is the second hands-on test. I did email it to you. I've emailed it to you a couple times. All right. So tomorrow will be a lab period as well. And on Friday, I will lecture on Murox JavaScript jQuery 6 and 7. So the test now will not be due until Friday at midnight. Your homework for 4 and 5 is due by midnight tonight. And don't worry about this 6 and 7. We haven't even started on that yet. So let's take a look at the test itself. I just sent you a revised copy where I took everything that said radio buttons, put it in with a red background, put a line through it, and changed it to check boxes. All right. Why? Because whoever wrote this test initially, it was not me. All right. There's mistakes in it. Also, I've added a bonus question in here, number 5, that's worth 25 points. So if you do everything and get it all correct, you can actually get 125 out of 100 points. All right. I have provided some hyperlinks that will hopefully help you to figure out how to do things. And again, I've decided to give you today and tomorrow to work on the test. Okay, so this, as they say here, this is the scenario. A JavaScript developer was recently fired from a company. You have been hired to basically take his place and clean up his mess. All right. So as it says here, the web page, let's take a quick look at that. What this is supposed to do, and hopefully it makes at least some sense to you. Let's pretend for a second that you are a big gamer and you wanted to buy every one of these games. So you checked every one. When you click calculate, then it should add up the total. So 20, 30 is 50, and 13, 63, 68, about 75 bucks approximately should go right here under the item total. Then I think they have a tax rate in there. I believe it's 5%. I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. If that's 75% or $75 and the tax rate is 5%, you do 75 times 5%, you'd get about 385 here. And 75 plus 385 or 375 or whatever it is would give you like 78.75 right there. Now, if you didn't buy this one, you'd of course take $20 off, etc. When you click the clear button, all of these should clear. Every one of them should clear. This should change back to 0. So should this, and so should this. So right now, there is code in here. There is code in the script here. It is not functioning code. Feel free to change it virtually any way you want. What do I mean by this? If you decide you don't like the names, for instance, S button for the calculate and C button for the clear, if you want to change those to calculate and clear, go ahead and do it. But just make sure that you also have it set like that in your JavaScript code. I'll give you a hint now. You're going to be working item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5. Notice that every one of these starts with the word item. That's very important because in here, notice we're basically changing it or trying to use it like an array. You might get that to work. You might not get that to work. Let's say that you don't get it to work. All right, then you may have to do a whole bunch of rewrite in here. And again, what do I mean? Well, if you can treat this like an array right here, if you can treat this thing like it's an array, then it's one variable with 5 values in it. If you cannot get that to work, all right, then what do you want to do? All right, then you'll have to treat them as 5 individual values or 5 individual variables. It's up to you. I'll give you full credit either way as long as it works. All right, look through this. I'd start by going through the HTML and seeing, are there errors in here? Here's a hint. Well, should that be 1,999, 2,999, 1,349, 499, and 599? Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. All right, there's a lot of mistakes in here. So let's take a look on the test as far as what they said the mistakes are. There's at least 6 mistakes in here. When you find a mistake, put a very simple JavaScript comment there. You can even leave the code in there if you want, but comment it out and put a comment there. If you find 6 mistakes and you put in 6 comments and comment out those 6 mistakes, that's 10 points. If you declare at the top of your program the $sign, like we've been doing, that's 10 points. So that's 20 points right there. All right, the submit button doesn't work. So you're going to have to write code to make the submit button work and create an event listener for it. If you decide you want to do the 25-point bonus question, you'll have to do the same thing for the clear button. You'll have to write code to make it work, and you will have to write an event listener, okay? So there's kind of hints here as far as what's wrong. Now, when this thing, and this is my fault, I don't care if somebody else wrote the test. I gave it. I should have noticed here that this said radio buttons. These things that are in here, these are not radio buttons. They're check boxes. Those are check boxes. How do we know that? Because if they were radio buttons, you could only select one of them. They're check boxes. So I went back into the test, and every place where it said radio buttons, I changed it to check boxes. All right. You're also supposed to put the date down on the bottom here. All right, so again, you're also supposed to put the date down on the bottom. So what I did was I tried to give you some help as far as how to do this, such as, well, if you look right here, here's a little thing from W3 Schools, how you can go and set the date. It's right here. That's 10 points. All right. If you decide you want to be able to come in here and work with those check boxes, like an array, and I know we haven't done that much with an array, but all right, this is a tutorial that's from javascripttutorial.net that tells you how to work with checkboxes. It assumes that you're using, at least part of it in here, that you're using an array. All right. But there's how to get a single value, and there's how to get multiple values. All right. And how did I find this? I literally Googled how to work with multiple checkboxes in an HTML form using JavaScript. And that's the one I thought that was the best. Now, Stack Overflow will give you some answers and stuff in here too. All right. But one last time, taking this from the top. All right. You've got a CSS file, which you shouldn't have to touch. You've got an HTML file that whether you change the names of some of the things that are in there or you don't, that's up to you. The other thing is if you decide you want to do this and you want to do this as an array, all right, you might want to Google basically how to create a checkbox array because there might be some more things in here you have to do. All right. So again, there are some things we have not talked about, but I tried to give you some hints. And as it said, to try to make the test as understandable and as fair as possible, I even added that bonus question. All right, I gave you a couple hyperlinks that hopefully will help you. And I extended the time that you've got to work on this. All right, so again, go through this right now, just so you know. If I bring this up, so if I bring this up, and it doesn't work. Calculate does nothing, clear does nothing. And if I go down here to inspect and I go to console, it's not really, believe it or not, telling me very much. All right. So there's going to be work that you're going to have to do. I would suggest breaking this down, trying, for example, trying to get the whatever you deem easiest in here, like maybe putting in the date, doing that first, seeing if you can get that to work. All right. Then maybe doing the clear button next, because it's pretty self-evident what you have to do in there. If you got those two done, that's 35 points right there. All right. Then make sure that after you click calculate, all the check boxes, how can you make sure that those all clear? Okay. Should be the same kind of code, if not the same code that you're going to do down here in the bonus. That's 10 more points. Then start taking a look at the errors that are in here. Work on them one at a time. All right. Once you feel like you've got one, go on to the next one. All right. Now, I don't want an email from anybody in this class that says, hey, I've got it all working except I can't get this one to work. That's your responsibility. Do the best you can. If you get it to work, great. If you give it an effort, even if it doesn't work, I have the right to look at your code and say, you know what, you're about halfway there, so I can give you 5 out of the 10 points. All right. So the rest of the period today will be lab. The rest of the period, or all period, tomorrow will be lab. All right. For Friday, we will go over chapter 6 and chapter 7. And please, I've given you a couple links, but don't discount what's in your book. All right. And you may even want to look ahead in the book, either go to the index and look up, for example, JavaScript and checkboxes or something like that, or, even go to the next chapter and see if there's anything in chapter 6 that could possibly help you. I'm not saying there is or there isn't. All right. Everybody is going to do this test in a different way. I'm here if you've got questions, but my questions, are basically the answers that I give are going to be clarification answers. All right. Again, please, because some of you have been doing this almost on a regular basis. It's not fair for you to send me your test and say, hey, I can't get this one and this one to work. Just keep working on it. That's the best thing that I can tell you. All right. that's all I've got to say. I will be taking this video that I'm recording right now. I will save it. It will be out there in about 10 or 15 minutes. All right. Again, I'm here if you've got questions. Good luck. I will talk to you in person on Friday. I'll see you then. Thanks.